Hey babies! So today I thought that we could read some effed up fan fiction, and I'm gonna be reading one of the most popular ones called the Hatfic. Now, if you don't like gross things, I suggest you leave this video because this fic is honestly really gruesome. So yeah, um, now that you hopefully left, let's begin. Hey Dan, can we get a hamster? I always wanted one, but my roommate never thought that we would look after it. Phil, we've talked about this. You wouldn't look after it properly. You can hardly look after yourself, he retorted. It wasn't really in an angry way, but he never even took into account that I was older than him and I lived by myself before him. So getting a hamster wouldn't be that bad. I decided not to argue. Dan was stubborn and wouldn't change his mind. I was going into town later anyway, so I needed to get changed. Put on my usual of skinny jeans and a top. I finished getting the few pieces of food Dan and I needed, and I was heading back to get on the bus. When I walked past the pet shop, I couldn't resist but walking in. I saw a cage with a small, fluffy black and white hamster in it. I looked at the price. £10. It was too small and cute to say no, so I bought it, and a cage. Walked out just as my bus arrived. I paid my fare and hopped on. I couldn't stop smiling. Buying my hamster was one of the best things I'd ever done. Or, that's what I thought. I got home and shouted out to Dan, Dan, come see what I bought. He bounced into the hallway of the front door. What's up? I raised the cage with a furry ball curled up in the corner again. The expression on his face turned from a sweet and innocent smile to a sick and twisted one, with an evil glint in his eye. I love it. I was completely wrong about saying no to getting one. He sounded genuine, but there was something about the way you said it that made me feel uneasy. So, what's it called? Dan asked. Can we call him Striker? Please? I've always loved that name. I don't really know why. Sure. His reply was cold and harsh. What was wrong with him? I shrugged it off and went into my room. It was only 9, but I was tired and felt a bit ill. I pulled on my PJ bottoms and slipped into bed. I woke up during the night, my body freezing cold, and I was unable to move. Opened my eyes and they were wide with shock. I looked down and I was naked with ropes tying me to a chair. And in the corner was sinister-looking Dan, who was also naked. Morning, Sleeping Beauty. I was wondering how cold the room had to be for you to wake up. His voice sounded so fluffy and innocent, but the words coming out weren't. He was only wearing his fluffy brown hat. He pulled it off to reveal a small black creature sitting in it. Striker. What the F was he doing? I don't normally swear, but this situation was so confusing and I was terrified. What was Dan gonna do to me? Dan, what are you doing? Why am I tied up? I stopped when he moved towards me. His expression changed from being happy, like when I woke up, to murderous. Don't be scared, Phil. We're going to have some fun with Striker. He cackled menacingly and showed off his erect member, making mine start to rise. He put the hat down, Striker still sitting in there, and faced it with his length, the perfect height to aim into it. Dan, what are you doing? Please stop. He stormed over to me and gave me a rough kiss. Everything will be okay, I promise. Dan grabbed a gag from behind me and put it over my mouth. He walked back over to the hat and began to stroke, looking over at me as he did so. After a short time, his seed exploded into the hat, but he didn't stop there. He kept going till the hat was filled up to the top. The white liquid was nearly spilling over the top, and my poor hamster was barely able to breathe. He was doing the doggy paddle just to survive, and all I could do was sit and watch. Dan grabbed the hamster's head and pushed it down into his own sperm. After 5 minutes of his sick game, he pulled it back up, dead. He snapped the hamster's head off, the neck bone shattering and making me mumble what was supposed to be a scream. Tears flowed down my face, and he squeezed the blood of Striker into the hat. He looked over at me. He was sick and twisted, but also kind of sexy. He picked up the hat and moved towards me. With one hand, he undid the gag. Open wide, he said with a sarcastic tone. I did as I was told. I didn't know what else was hiding behind me. He began to pour the sperm and hamster blood mixture into my mouth, only for me to realize that he'd put my poor Striker back in there, head and body. The fluid tasted disgusting, partly because it had gone cold, and also because I knew it was my hamster's blood I was drinking. He pulled back halfway through, not that I was complaining, and said, Good little Phil. Do I taste good? My eyes widened. What do I say? I was about to open my mouth when he slapped me. Speak, bitch. Wanted to raise my hand to my face. My cold face stung when his hot and sticky hand touched it. You taste amazing, Dan. I managed to choke out. Yeah, I do. Time for some more fun. I didn't like where this was going. He pulled the black body that was coated in white from the hat. Dan rammed it down my throat, causing my gag reflexes to keep in, and I vomited all down myself. Dan smirked at this and got on his knees. He began to lick all over me. His soft tongue was gliding all over me until it found its way to my throbbing erection. He started at the tip and worked his way all the way down. deep-throating me. It felt so nice. Most people couldn't do this, but it didn't last long. He looked up at me, his innocent brown eyes making me melt. Promise you won't run? He sounded so sorry, so I nodded. He got up and untied me. He grabbed me by the shoulders. I'm going to lie on the floor and you're going to pour the rest of the hat on me, then lick it off. Okay? He growled. Sweet, loving Dan was gone. I quickly nodded and he got to the floor. I grabbed the hat and poured it on him, just as he commanded. I began to lick it off him. The mixture wasn't as bad as last time. I think it's because I'm not having it forced on my throat. Suck me off, Phil. It sounded so weird, but yet again I did as I was told. I wasn't as good as him, and I could only fit half of him in my mouth before I felt sick. I was going for what seemed like forever before he pushed my head away. You've done well, but there's one last thing I need you to do. He pulled the hamster's head from the pile left over sick. When you say stop, I will, but only if I think you've done good enough. I started to shake and tremble. Dan put his arm around me. It's okay, it won't be that bad. He hushed me. He was so much nicer again. Are you ready? He asked me, a sense of impatience growing in his tone. Yes, Dan, I stuttered, and he quickly rolled me onto my front. His hand placed on the top of my back, pinning me down. The hamster's head in his other hand was nearing my rectum. I know where this is going. He rammed it in with no hesitation, and a burning sensation spread throughout me. For the rest of it, he used his manhood to push it in. I wanted to say stop, but he wouldn't. I knew it. Finally, it got too much, and I screamed out, Stop! I looked back at Dan, who just grinned. Come on, Phil. I know you can do better than that. He forcefully went in further. Not quite all the way, though. Dan, please, I'm begging you, stop. It's so sore. I pleaded, the burning sensation turning into a stabbing feeling. Dan stroked my hair and gently pulled out of me. The hamster's head was still inside me. It felt horrible knowing that I had a dead animal's head sitting inside my intestines. Dan put his hand inside me and went deep. I cried out in pain. I felt like exploding. He finally showed me his hand with the head in it. I wished the torture was over, but I knew Dan would have other plans. But this time he didn't, and just wrapped his arm around my hips. Let's go to bed, Dan said, pulling me up as he said so. I leaned in for a kiss, and so did he. We walked down to my room, and when we got in, he pushed me onto the bed. I thought he was going to want sex, but he was so caring and just spooned me until he fell asleep. I woke up to find Dan with the hamster's body and head in his mouth, chewing violently, bones snapping and crunching under his teeth. He had blood dripping from his chin. He crawled over to me, and I licked it off for him. He grinned as though I read his thoughts, and he finished eating. And every month, we buy a hamster. It's a good thing tomorrow's Sunday. I need some serious Jesus after this. So if you enjoyed this type of video, I guess, please comment or like it, and I will try to do more like this. And I'm sorry that I haven't posted on like a regular schedule in a while, but I am homeschooled now, so I should be able to post more regularly. I should be making videos every single Wednesday, but I'll try to let you know via Twitter if I cannot. So, as always, I love all of you, and I will see you next week. Bye!